The topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Hello and welcome to Fearless Fabulous You. I am your host, Melanie Young. And it is Happy Earth Day. Recycle, reuse, reclaim, and repurpose. Earth Day is our day to protect the earth, but we should be doing that all year round. I'll be airing on my Facebook page some of my best shows dealing with environment, wonderful people who are reusing and repurposing items to create new things. So check it out on Fearless Fabulous Melanie Young and my Facebook page. I'll be airing a few shows. But today we're going on a trip because I'm in the mood. It's springtime it's April. And gosh, what do you want to do more than anything in April is get away and have a spring fling, right? I know I do. I'm so lucky because I live in New Orleans and the weather is perfect, but I have a lot of friends who are up east and up northwest and wherever, and it's still chilly. So we're going to take you away to a place that I've been a few Aprils. I've been in April in Paris a few times. And why? Because I was en route to a beautiful wine region called the Loire Valley. So what we're going to do today is have a springtime in the Loire Valley. And I'm going to take you to one of my favorite wine regions in France. And people always ask, what's your favorite wine region to visit in France? Well, I like them all, but one of the easiest to get to and one of the most beautiful and diverse is the Loire Valley. I have been there, I think 3 or 4 times on organized trips, once with an importer, and I've been to most of the regions. Love the wines, and we're going to talk about that and why you should visit and what wines to drink at home. So first of all, the Loire Valley is known as the Royal Valley because it has beautiful chateaus and gardens. That's what it's known for. It's also called the Garden Valley. Many members of the monarchy and the nobility in Paris and other major cities would have their country retreats there. So all along the river, the Loire River, you'll see amazing castles like Cheneseau, Chateau de Saumur, and many, and you can visit these, and I highly recommend it. In fact, there's a lot of tour groups that do biking trips because it's an easy biking area. In addition to chateau, there's also caves, like troglodyte caves that people lived in, and you can actually rent and stay in those as well. So you can literally see chateaus, incredible castles, and then you can see troglodyte caves. It's kind of very diverse. Speaking of diverse, it is the Loire Valley is the 3rd largest wine region in France. And I think it's the most diverse. Why? Because you get this incredible range of wines, and it's unique because if you look at a lot of wine maps, it's really interesting. A lot of them are on the river because rivers create these amazing alluvial soils. They're also in the mountains because mountain soils are really great, but alluvial soils with river debris and particles are very good for cultivating vines in most areas. Some are sandier, some are rockier. It just varies on the region. The Loire Valley is, I think, the longest river in France. It's silty, so it's not you'll see barges, but you're not going to see heavy ships and stuff. As I said, you can navigate it with tourist boats, like light boats or along bicycles. But what's interesting about it is most wine regions actually run north to south. Okay, so the Rhone Valley, north to south. Burgundy, north to south. Bordeaux, north to south. Alsace, north to south. I've just covered the major regions in France, but the Loire is east to west. That makes it really unique. And I think that also contributes to this amazing diversity of wines. It's just 2 hours from Paris. Take the TGV, you're there. So it's really easy. Done it a couple of times. It's a really pretty train trip. When we were there, we saw the rapeseed, the yellow fields that were the canola. They call it rapeseed in bloom. It's just all farmland. It's just beautiful. And there's a lot of farmland in the Loire Valley. There's some key cities as well, but really is rolling farmlands, chateaus, just bucolic. So it's a great trip and visit, and I highly recommend it. I'm going to talk to you about the wines and the regions and the differences so that you can choose where you may want to visit or choose the kind of wines you want to drink. So, interesting fact, another one, the Loire Valley is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It stretches 170 miles across the heart of France. We're talking about north central France. So it's a more northerly region, as I said, south of Paris, north of Provence, and it's home to 87 appellations, including AOC, which is one designation of very high-end wines, and IGP, which allows a little more flexibility in the wines created. The landscape is very diverse, and many of the wine producers are small, family-owned, multi-generational family-owned. They call them vignerons. Real dirt under the fingernail farmers. We've met so many of them. A lot of them do live in beautiful chateaus, but they're still dirt under your finger farmers. It's amazing. A couple of other things. What makes in addition to the river, which has this amazing alluvial soil, it also is part of the Massif Central, this giant rocky plain that cuts through central France and goes up to Burgundy. And these amazing limestone soils, rocky soils, create these wines with amazing acidity. What is acidity? It's an incredible crispness. It's that zip-zing crispness, that lip-smacking mouthfeel when you have a wonderful white wine, for example, or a sparkling wine. And also minerality. Minerality is that stony, earthy herbaceousness that you get that complements the fruit. So you get a lot of that because of this Massif Central has these amazing limestone soils, and some are chalky, and they go right on up to Burgundy and Champagne, which is known for the same soils and those similar crisp, beautiful wines. The soils are super old. They date back, to the cave days. There are caves. Interesting, about 20% of the producers in the Loire are organic, and they'll probably by 2030 be all 100% organic and green certified. So this is also an area that Earth Day really respects the land. And when you go there, you'll see it. It is beautiful. It is clean. It makes you want to breathe. Makes you want to get on a bike. It makes you want to get your hiking shoes on. And we were able to do that when we visited. We did all sorts of fun things on our organized trip. We were there with the region of the Loire Valley wines. You can go to the Loire Valley wine website, and it's really helpful in your planning a trip. So again, we're talking about unique because it's east to west or west to east, depending which way you're going. For our little trip, I'm going to take you, let's say you came back down and you went down to Paris. And let's say you landed maybe in the coast. No, I'll go straight down. Some major cities you may want to visit. Orleans, as in the Maid of Orleans and Joan of Arc was there. It's one of the major centers of the Loire Valley. Further to the west, there's Nantes, near the coast where I've been. There's the city of Tours and Chinon, a lot of beautiful cities, with Orleans probably being the capital. So we're going to start east to west. All right. So let me just get my notes to east to west because I have them west to east in my notes. You're going to love it because the Upper Loire, which is where the Massif Central is, furthest to the east, so most central in France, is also where you're going to find some of the greatest Sauvignon Blancs of the world. Now, you may say, I'm not big on Sauvignon Blanc. I don't like the grassiness, blah, blah, blah. Well, you haven't had Upper Loire Valley Sauvignon Blanc. Okay, so what should you know? Have you ever had something called Sancerre? Sancerre is the Sauvignon Blanc of the Loire Valley, and it is going to be crisp, not too pineapple-y, not too. It's going to have gooseberry and grapefruit and a lot of minerality because of that rocky soils I talked about. It's going to be dry. It's going to go great with shellfish and seafood. You're going to love it. Sancerre is probably one of the fastest growing, most popular wines, according to many wine directors at restaurants that we interview. If it's completely different from like a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, which is very unique and I think has a lot of kiwi in it. The Chilean Sauvignon Blancs to me have a little more fruit-driven, citrus fruit-driven, pineapple. For me, a Sancerre is dry, crisp, gooseberry, a hint of lime, and a little flint and stone characteristics. In fact, there's a special area. There's like 3 or 4 areas in the Upper Loire known for producing Sauvignon Blancs, and each is located a little closer to or further away from the Loire Valley, and of course has its own appellation and unique microclimate. Because you could literally go somewhere in a wine country and walk across the street and it could have a different microclimate. It's kind of cool. So if you've ever heard of the name of a wine called Poulet Fumé, not Poulet Foussé, Poulet Fumé. So it is also a Sauvignon Blanc, a style of Sauvignon Blanc from the Upper Loire in the eastern part of the Loire Valley. Fumé means smoky. Okay, smoky. And it's because these wines have a little flintier characteristic to them. So if you like that hint of smoke, really dry and crisp with a hint of smoke, you're going to love Poulet Fumé. Those are the 2 most famous wines of the area, with another being Menetou-Soulon. And just all 3, Menetou-Soulon is another famous wine of the Upper Loire, Eastern Loire. So this is an area that's really about, first and foremost, Sauvignon Blanc, and really good ones, some of the best in the world. Okay. You can also find some wonderful sparkling wines. So this is important to know about the Loire Valley. It is one of the largest producers of method champenoise sparkling wine outside of Champagne, where it can be called Champagne, and they are fabulous. It is actually its own AOP, protected, an area of protected origin. And Cremant de Loire, you can get them for under $20 in a store. They can be made with different grapes, where Champagne has to be made with very specific grapes. Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, Meunier. But in the Loire, it can be made with other grapes. So you can find some amazing sparkling wines, white, rosé, dry to sweet. Really fabulous. And it is one of the largest producers of sparkling wine outside of Champagne. So really great to check out. So you can also get some of those as well when you're in the Eastern Loire. So this is an area that is great to visit. What do you have with Sancerre? You have oysters, shellfish, salads, and something else that this region is really well known for, which is these amazingly tangy goat cheeses. Yeah, this is Cheese Central. Unfortunately, I didn't go on a cheese trip. I went on a wine trip. So I ate a lot of cheese, but I can't tell you a lot about them. But if you can ask at your local cheesemonger, and I do suggest if you live in an area where you're lucky enough to have a cheesemonger, befriend them and say, I'd like to try some goat cheeses from the Loire. Again, you can reach the Loire in about 2 hours. The eastern part where we still are is known for its Sancerres, and it's also known for its amazing goat cheeses. I'm getting hungry just talking about this. I don't know about you. So then we're going to move into the Central Loire area, where David and I have spent quite a bit of time. It's the largest area of the Loire and has probably some of the most highest concentration of castles. It's also where I actually flew an airplane. Right. I was on a trip and we were taking an aerial view of all the vineyards, and the pilot said, would you like to fly the plane? And I was like, yeah, I guess I've never done that before. And I actually got to fly the plane. I was a little scared because I'm not a pilot. but he was there sitting next to him, and we flew over the beautiful landscape and vineyards and saw incredible castles. And if you have a chance to take an aerial tour, do it. What is cool is we actually took a VW bus tour. There's a company, I'll have to get the name of it, but they do VW bus tours of the Loire, and it was a lot of fun. Really a lot of fun. So the Central Loire is divided into two areas. Closer to the Eastern Loire is an area called Touraine, Touraine. And like the Eastern Loire, it's known for its Sauvignon Blancs. They're going to be somewhat a little different. My computer's froze, so I'll just have to work on my notes as is. You mainly Sauvignon Blanc, but you can also find some Chenin, which is another white grape in this region. And you will also find a wine that is distinctly from the Loire and only from the Loire, called Vouvray. Vouvray, Vouvray. I have here a book. I highly recommend it. It's called The Wine Bible. It's by the great writer Karen McNeil, and she's a great writer and a great speaker. I want to read something to you because I was reading up on the Loire in preparation for this show. And she says of Vouvray, I've just got to bear with me while I get my little Post-it note unposted. She says, one white appellation of the Middle Loire is well known world over. Vouvray is made from 100% Chenin Blanc, which I'll speak about shortly. No other place in the world produces Chenin Blancs that are so gossamer, richly flavored, and honeyed, even when dry. Don't you just love that? Vouvray is made of Chenin, and Chenin is the main white grape variety of the Central Loire. So Sauvignon Blanc you'll see in the Central Loire, but you'll see it's dominant in the Eastern Loire. In the Central Loire, it's all about Chenin Blanc, and the best, sorry, South Africa, they make it there. It's big there, but the best Chenin Blancs in the world, I think, are from the Loire Valley, and they are crisp. They are so refreshing on the palate. They have that great acidity. They're not flinty or gooseberry-ish like a Sauvignon Blanc. They have more fruit characteristics, but dry. And they make beautiful wines, including Vouvray, and amazing sparkling Vouvray. There's a producer called Alexandre Montmessu, and he makes some of the best sparkling Vouvray I've ever tasted. We actually had him as a guest on our show after we visited his winery with his importer, Casella Perifee. Really, some of the best Chenin Blancs and Vouvray. He's a Vouvray producer, so Vouvray is Chenin Blanc. Some of the best sparkling I've ever had. Now, Vouvray can be tricky because it can run from very dry to semi-dry, which has a little more residual sugar. And I've actually been to Vouvray dinners where we're served exclusive Vouvray and tasted the spectrum from very, very, starting with sparkling to dry to semi-dry. So if you're in a restaurant or if you're in a retail store and you're shopping Vouvray, ask about that and ask if it's a dry or demi-sec or off-dry wine, because they're very different, and you may not want off-dry, you may want dry. But they have very high acids. They're going to be incredibly crisp, very refreshing, and this is going to be a little confusing for you. So the terms are a little confusing here. Unlike Champagne, Vouvray, here's Karen, can be dry. So it's known as sec, not brut, because brut Champagne is dry and sec and Champagne is the sugar. Medium dry, demi-sec. Medium sweet called milieu. And medium dry, which is the main style. So ask what style of Vouvray is if you're shopping, because you want to get one that you like, or actually go try a bunch of them at the dinner party. It's a lot of fun. And I like some of the sweeter ones. They're really good with Asian food when they have a little bit more residual sugar. And what's nice about that is if you've ever had let's say a Gewürztraminer or a Riesling with a little more residual sugar, or in this case, Vouvray with a really spicy Cajun or Hunan Chinese, it is a perfect pairing. Spice loves a little bit of residual sugar. It's really great. So try that. So we've now talked about Vouvray and Touraine, which is going to be Sauvignon Blanc. Now you're probably wondering, let me just finish. So Chenin. So the next region over is Anjou and Saumur, two other huge regions, Central Loire, with a large range of wines. I'm going to finish up with the white, move to rosé, and then red, because you're probably wondering, what about the red wines? Well, we're getting there because there's some amazing ones in the Central Loire. Okay. So some wine regions to know, other wine regions to know in the Central Loire, Anjou. Okay. Anjou is one of two areas in the Central Loire, an amazing range of grapes as well. Very well known for its rosés. Rosé d'Anjou is very, very famous. And again, these rosés can go from very dry to very to sweet. So there's a beautiful range. I would highly recommend giving them a try. Just over half the wine produced in the Angers Saumur area is rosé. So beautiful rosés. Give them a try. And the grape that is used is predominantly Cabernet Sauvignon. So now we're moving into some red wine territory. The red wine, the main red grapes that you will find in this area, Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Malbec, which is known as Côte, and Grolieu in smaller amounts. These are all in the Middle Loire, and they're terrific. So rosés, I would recommend a rosé d'Anjou, but there are other rosés as well. I've tasted so many rosés in this area, and they're really terrific. Again, this is an area known for the sparkling wines, the Crémants. So as the own AOP in the Central Loire, try them. They're fabulous. The other notable wines of this area that you should know, the reds. Okay, there's an area called Saumur, Saumur, Champagny. It makes some of the best Cabernet Francs I've had, which are also used in the sparkling wines. Most of the wines in this area are single variety, which means there's not blends. If there is, it's like 2% or 3%, but most are single variety. That's very important to know. The main red grapes that you should know, as I said, you've got Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon, Grolieu, and Côte, which is Malbec. And another area, so Saumur Champagny is a special appellation known for its Cabernet Franc. Terrific. We had dinner with many of the producers twice, and they're all family owned and terrific. And you can get a lot of them in the United States, but you got to look for Saumur, Saumur. That's what you're going to see more than Champagny, Saumur. Another appellation area that you should know that does wonderful Cabernet Franc is Chinon. Okay, now this is important. There's Chenin, Chenin, which is a white grape varietal and dominant in the Central Loire for its amazing high acid, incredibly refreshing white wines. And then there's Chinon, Chinon, and these are Cabernet Franc wine, dominant wines, and they're terrific. And they're going to be in the Touraine area of the Central Loire. So those are just some terms to know and wines to look for. I think I get excited when I see a Cabernet Franc from the Loire. I get excited when I see a Cabernet Franc from Virginia, also another great region. Another, if you're into sweet wines, the Loire Valley has one of the few Grand Cru designation sweet wines. It's called, help me with this pronunciation, Côte de Chaume. Côte, spelled like quart, like a quart of milk. It's spelled Côte de Chaume, Chaune. These are prized sweet wines, and they're only made in this area. And if you can, in a Grand Cru means they're the highest quality. If you could, I literally went to a welcome event when we were in the Loire Valley, and they had a table of these, and I was like, and I beelined over there, and they're really good. You may think that, I don't call sweet wines dessert wines. Why? Because I think many sweet wines go with other savory items like foie gras, like blue cheese, like really spicy dishes. They're not just to pair with dessert. In fact, I actually don't like, personally, sweet wines with dessert. It's just too much sweet on sweet. I like sweet and savory. So I love just having a glass of dessert wine as my dessert, or maybe with a little bit of chocolate, but more likely some wonderful blue cheese. I like that tang. So Côte de Cham is unique to the Loire and another great wine to try. Now, I learned, and I did not have a tarte tatin, and I don't recall having a tarte tatin in the Loire when I went, but I had so many great meals, I can't remember. There were so many, but Karen McNeil also notes, I love this book, The Wine Bible, because it's about wine, but it's also about the region and the stories. And she writes, one of the most famous rustic desserts of France, tarte tatin, originated in the Touraine region, which we talked about. It's known for its Sauvignon Blancs and also Chinon, the Touraine region. So what is tarte tatin? It's an upside down caramelized apple tart, a specialty of France created in the 19th century by two sisters or a hotel. And Karen says that tarte tatin is the perfect complement to the gorgeously sweet, lightly honeyed dessert wine. She calls it a dessert wine, Côte de Cham. Okay, so she recommends it with tarte tatin, and she calls it a dessert wine. I still say it can go with some savory items as well, but Côte de Cham is a specialty of this area, as is tarte tatin. Perfect pairing. What else can I tell you about the Central? Another area and very special because it's its own designated appellation and super, super special. It's called Savennières, Savennières. It is a sub-appellation, and now it's its own appellation, within the larger area, and it's known for some of the best world-class Chenin Blancs ever, with one being Le Coulet de Siront, very famous. And if you can find it and afford it, it's about $100 a bottle, get it, because it's very special. Savennières. Like I said, there's regular Chenins, there's the Vouvrays made from Chenins, and then there's Savennières. One writer called this wine, which is from the Middle Loire, it's a very dry white wine, cerebral. Now, I've never known a wine to be cerebral, but apparently it's what they call in Italy a meditative wine. What does that mean? It's a wine you just want to sit and savor. You don't want to drink it too fast. You want to think about it. The wines are this way because there's a lot of volcanic schist in this area. As I said earlier, there's the Massif Central. A lot of it was formed through volcanic erosion over the millennium. So you're going to get all this schist and limestone rocks, and that creates this amazing acidity and minerality in the wines. I really can't say enough positive effusive things about these wines. I really love it. And I can't wait to go back. There's so much to learn. People always say, do you ever get tired of going to one region or other? No, because there's always so much to learn. There's always a new producer to meet. There's always a new vintage to try. There's always new dishes to taste. And this is the third largest wine region of France. It's never enough. I can't wait to go back. I hope I'm invited. I would go on vacation, though. I mean, this is a place it's not just a work trip. I'd always go on vacation. So the Central Loire is the Middle Loire, they call it, is Chateau Central. You'll So many famous chateaus. If you can get on a wine tour, do it. I think that's probably the easiest way because you don't want to be driving around. Like I said, there's book tours. I mean, there's bike tours as well. I'm not big on bike tours because if you're drinking, if you really want to stay on a bike, I like just good old-fashioned tours, van tours. And I know there's a great one out there that does VW buses. I just can't remember the name of it, but we did. It was so much fun. All right. I'd linger in the Central Loire a little bit more, but we're going to go to the far wild, wild west. And it really is the wild, wild west. The main area, this is the Wild West, it's the Atlantic Ocean part of the Loire, remember, east to west. So the end of the Loire Valley is the Atlantic Ocean. It's rough, it's cold, you're going to get a lot of ocean breezes. It's oyster country. You're going to get, we actually got to go out with an oyster farmer, wait it out, and got to get fresh oysters and have them with the wine of this area, the specialty, which is called Muscadet. Muscadet is the name of the wine. It is made only in the Western Loire in the Pays-Nantes area. So the region is called Pays, P-A-Y-S country. Nantes. Nantes is the main city in this region, which is a fairly large-ish region. It's not as large as the Central Loire, which is really large. As I said, it's really the two areas. But Nantes is a beautiful region just south of Brittany with its own unique food. I had some amazing clips in Nantes. It's a beautiful area and a beautiful castle. Again, more castles and fortresses because it was on the ocean, so you're going to get fortresses. Muscadet is a very dry, crisp white wine. Again, this area, the Loire Valley, is well known for its white wines. It's very white dominant, but it has some amazing reds as well. And of course, the Cremants are incredible. Muscadet is made from one specific grape variety called Melon, like a melon, de Bourgogne. Bourgogne means Burgundy, but it's the Melon de Bourgogne. It is a neutral grape, very high acid. It's sometimes blended with small permittable amounts of Chardonnay to kind of round it out. And it also, in certain areas, sub-appellations of this region, is aged to rest. They call it sur lie. What does that mean? It rests on it's stirred, and the yeasts are stirred up, and it rests on the lees, which is called sur lie. And what that does when a wine ages on lie or sur lie, it rounds out and softens the wine. You'll see that a lot in Burgundy, and you'll see that in Champagne. Sur lie means it rests on the yeast, which softens the wine and gets a toastier quality. Not quite like barrels where you get the vanilla and whatnot, but it's just much softer sur lie, and usually it's a couple of months. Muscadet Sèvres is wines that are rested, and Muscadet sur lie are all beautiful wines. You can find them fairly inexpensively here in the United States. They go great with seafood, right? And that tangy goat cheese from those tangy goat cheeses. I like Muscadet. I think they're probably the most affordable of the Loire Valley wines, and you can get all sorts of them. So that's the main wine of this area. You can also find another grape that I happen to like a lot. It's also well known in the Languedoc-Roussillon area called Picpoul. Picpoul. I think it's got another name. Let's see what the name is. It's got another name here. I don't see it. Picpoul. It's got another name, and it slipped me right now. But it's another fun, crisp wine to try that's white. Again, this is white wine central. What else can I tell you? So if you want to go to Nantes, you take the train to Nantes. We did that as well. The cities are beautiful. They're on some of them, or most of them, on tributaries of the Loire. A lot of ruins, a lot of really good food, and definitely worth visiting. It's like I said, it's 2 hours from Paris, so why wouldn't you go if you want to go to the country? I mean, It's pleasant. April was still crisp in the air, but the gardens were blooming. May, perfect. June, perfect. I would think that July probably gets hot because it gets hot everywhere in Europe these days, but I would recommend it. Oh, peak pool. So the term for peak pool in the Loire is folle blanche, Folle blanche, Blanche. It's, every region has a name for a specific grape. So in the Loire, peak pool is folle blanche. In Languedoc-Roussillon is peak pool. Malbec is Malbec in southwestern France, but it's Côte everywhere else. Or Malbec in Argentina is Côte in the Loire. And so you get different ones. You can also find other red grapes like Gamay and Pinot Noir toward the central Loire and to the east. They're also lovely. So you get a nice range of reds. I still think that the Cabernet Francs are the standouts. So again, the Loire, sense of place, just to wrap this up. It is in the north central part of France, 2 hours from Paris, an easy train ride. Main cities are Nantes to the far west, Tours and Orleans to the east. And Chinon is another nice little town. There's lovely little towns all along the way. Some of the most famous castles are Cheneseau, Chateau de Saumur, many of them. And I wish I could do a castle tour. I always end up in wine tours. There are many tour groups to check out. I like Loire Valley wines just for general information, but there are some wonderful itineraries that you can find as well. So consider it when you're planning a trip. I would think it'd be really fun to go in the spring, but I would also recommend going in the early fall when probably around harvest. I think that'd be incredible. I think that's probably my favorite time to go to Europe is September, October. But you go when you can, right? Anyway, that's going to wrap up this show on the Loire Valley. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you'll go out to your local retailer and say, hey, I want to try some wines from the Loire Valley. What do you have? Check them out on restaurant menus. They're very, very food friendly and versatile, which I like. So you've been listening to Fearless, Fabulous You with Melanie Young. I want you to go expand your horizons and your palate and take the trip, drink the sip, eat the food. Don't say, no, I can't. Oh, no, I shouldn't. Just do it. Life's short. So you have a choice to live life any way you want. Remember, it's just a journey we all are going to the same ending. So enjoy the journey and choose to live life on your terms and not on terms set by anybody else. And always choose fearless and fabulous. Follow me at Melanie Fabulous. Check out my Substack at Melanie Fabulous. Let me hear from you at Melanie Fabulous page on Facebook or Instagram. And if you go to the Loire, I want to hear about it. Share your pictures with me. Thank you.